centers. The grant was given, the seal was earned, a horse, a visa, the world she earned. History's call in sacred terms. She crossed the line, meeting the terms.
The keeper is given the gift of insight into the hearts of men and women here on earth. With the clasp of both hands, he feels the substance of a person's soul, weighs it, perceives deceit, and recognizes the dark influences that stain the soul. Through that knowledge, he renders profound judgments. Lazarus Ricardan Zakarian, Capitulo 84.
3 days later, Mary was feeling strangely unsettled, as if she had no guidance left in her life. Her passion was history, Mediterranean history, and yet she knew that if she had to give up her research or Kamchatka, she could not give him up. And even if she got the grant, what would she do with him when it was over? Sensing that she was getting worked up over things far in the future, she took a deep breath before slowly exhaling. 2 more deep breaths before she felt her muscles begin to relax. She leaned against Kamchatka's strong neck. The future would take care of itself. She would focus on the here and now. She heard voices and looked up. 3 men were approaching her where she was still working with Kamchatka. She smiled in greeting, but kept her focus on the grooming essentials she had been taught. A few minutes later, she led him into his box stall, latched the door, and turned to face them. The 3 men were dressed distinctly from one another. The first was an older gentleman with a narrow, protruding face, unfortunate teeth, and a thin fringe of yellowish hair circling his otherwise bald head. He wore a formal business suit. The other 2 looked as though they might be related. One was dressed in something resembling a monk's robe. The other was dressed all in black, wearing a crown and with a sword strapped to his side. The one in the business suit stepped forward.
"My name is Edward Westborough,"
he announced with a clipped British intonation.
"Do I have the pleasure of addressing Miss Meredith Palmer?"
When she nodded, he continued,
"I am here to verify the facts pursuant to your application for the Amador grant. Should I find that you meet all of the requisite conditions, I have been empowered to issue you a check for the first disbursement amount forthwith."
It had been only 3 days since Mary sent the application overnight express to the London office of the law firm overseeing the grant. It seemed remarkable that he was standing here in Spain already.
"How—"
she began.
"I received a communication from Justice Albans, manager of this stable, explaining the urgency of reaching a decision. He offered me transport to come out as swiftly as possible, and I availed myself of the opportunity."
Neither Justice nor Darin had expressed any urgency, but perhaps they were inconvenienced by her arrival and prolonged stay until a decision was made.
As I understand it, at least one of the requirements for the grant Ms. Palmer is pursuing is to obtain a visitor's visa allowing her to visit the island nation of Estolia.
The one dressed like a monk spoke. Brows raised, the lawyer nodded. His eyes were faintly bulging, his Adam's apple bobbing up and down like a misguided elevator. The swift glance from one man to the other made it seem unlikely he'd arrived with the 2 men. The monk extended both of his hands toward her. After a moment's hesitation, she placed her own hands in his.
"I am Nicodemus Luciano Zakarian,"
he said, his voice calm and steady.
"Keeper, first consul to the king, and last resort. Please call me Nico."
She was mesmerized by the intensity of his gaze and the warmth of his hands gripping hers. He squeezed her hands briefly before releasing them and turning his attention back to the lawyer.
"One of my roles is to grant visas for visitors. I hereby grant you a limited 3-month visa for travel to Estolia."
When the man wearing the crown stepped forward, Nico said,
"This is my brother, Leonidas Agamemnon Zakarian, Duke, Sovereign, and King of Estolia. Leon, this is Meredith Palmer."
The king pulled her into his arms for a hug, pressing his cheek to hers. He stepped back and said,
"It is a true pleasure to meet you."
He added, with a glance at the man in the business suit,
I understand that another condition of the grant is that she must stay in the palace. I have already requested that the tower suite be prepared for Ms. Palmer.
The lawyer nodded decisively.
Then I am authorized to hand over the first installment along with the paperwork that explains your obligations. Should you meet those obligations, you will receive a second check, and so on up to the fifth check.
He proffered the briefcase he carried with him.
This contains all of the particulars.
After she took it, he pulled 2 envelopes out of an inner coat pocket and handed one to her.
This is your first disbursement,
He explained.
The amount is $1.28 million, less the specified amount required to purchase and transport the Estolian stallion Kamchatka,
He passed her the second envelope, saying,
which you'll find in this envelope.
Once she took everything offered to her, he nodded to the 2 men and, with a final glance at the stallion, quickly left the stable. Silence lingered after his departure. Mary looked from the king to Nico, both watching her with quiet expectation, and realized she wasn't entirely sure what to do next. If she had understood the lawyer correctly, she now possessed $1.2 million. Justice and Darin rejoined them a few moments later.
The lawyer communicated your success in obtaining the grant?
Justice asked. She nodded. Looking down at the 2 envelopes, one bearing the horse's name, the other marked Grant, she handed over the envelope with Kamchatka's name. He opened it and looked at the contents. After a moment, he nodded crisply and turned to the 2 men from Estolia.
How would you like to transport him?
You have the 3 mares?
The king asked.
Yes, they are ready to transport whenever you wish.
We have contracted with a cargo firm to transport them via air tomorrow.
Nico said.
They will bring the stallion also.
Excellent,
Justice said.
I have a significant request as well.
Darin added.
We will discuss your request later today.
Nico replied.
We will also see you when you visit Estolia in 10 weeks.
Will the 2 of you remain here?
Justice asked.
Yes, we expect Zeb to show up at any time.
Leon said.
When he does, Nico, Darin and I must all have a conference.
Justice escorted her back to his office and encouraged her to take a seat.
I should like to acquaint you with the conditions attached to Kamchatka's purchase. I am certain there are corresponding conditions to your grant. I suggest you spend this next hour reviewing the contents of the briefcase. Make note of any questions that occur to you, even if they are ones I may not be able to answer. I will return in about an hour, and then we will go over the purchase terms together and address your questions.
That sounds reasonable.
I will have someone bring you a tray of refreshments.
40 minutes later, she heard a discreet tap on the door. The woman pushing a tea trolley into the office was extraordinary to look at. Her hair was dyed every color of the rainbow.
Are you hungry?
She asked.
Yes.
Mary said.
Great, because I'm starved. I will join you if you don't mind. I'm Kenzie Zakarian, Nico's wife.
Mary gestured to the other chairs around the large conference table. Once she started to nibble, Kenzie said,
Justice will be here, but he's running behind a little. While I might not be able to help you, I can at least try. Fire away.
Bemused, Mary glanced down at the list of questions she had organized into 4 categories. They ranged from, what product must I present at the end of the first year, to, what can I not spend the money on, and what will disqualify me from receiving future installments. She pushed the list across the table. Kenzie looked over the list of questions and finally shrugged her shoulders.
Nico is in negotiations with the law offices that control the disbursement and is asking to have the responsibilities and remunerations switched over to him. The company overseeing the funding wants to get rid of it. If he can take over, then he'll be in a position to help you fulfill the conditions for all 5 years.
It occurred to Mary that a 5-year allocation for research into this island nation would require her to have more than 3 months on the island.
I've only been given 3 months on Estolia.
She pointed out.
You'll have your visa re-evaluated in 12 weeks. By then, you'll really know whether it's a good fit. Estolia is a peculiar nation.
What do you mean, peculiar?
Mary asked. Laughing, Kenzie clarified.
It's got some strange quirks to it. Nothing awful, but kind of weird. You may find out that you don't like it there. If that happens, you probably won't want to stay more than 3 months.
Mary tilted her head, studying the peculiar multicolored woman. After several minutes of silent observation, she voiced the thought that had been forming.
You don't think I'll want to leave, do you?
No, I don't.
Kenzie said with certainty.
I believe that Estolians are a most peculiar breed. The horses will bond with many individuals, but I've heard of the instant bonding only with those who end up loving Estolia.
She paused before adding,
I look forward to getting to know you. Nico and I live in the palace full-time. There are quite a few women our age, and we are all great friends. I think we'd all love to have someone new join our group.
With a smile that lit up her expression, she added,
We have a study group, and it occurs to me that you're a perfect addition to that group above all other things. Ria, my sister-in-law, will be tickled pink.
He came with hands both warm and kind. A whisper echoed heart to mind. He weighed her soul with quiet eyes and read her truth unspoken wise. The great